Hey guys, let's make some cakes, period. Today I'm going to show you how I got these really nice, smooth, crisp edges to my cake. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, first things first, you want to make sure that you definitely have that solid foundation for your cake, which is a really good crumb coat. This is going to make sure that all those crumbs stay nice and close to that cake so that when we are doing our final layer of frosting, we don't have any crumbs in our frosting. We want to see a nice white or whatever color you're choosing to do for your outside layer of cake for your frosting is nice, bright. You don't see any cake pieces in it. That's a nice, good professional look for your cake. So in order to get this look, you want to make sure that your buttercream is also mixed properly as well. So once you get your buttercream mixed properly and you have that solid foundation, which is a great crumb coat, then we're going to go ahead and ice our final layer of frosting onto our cake. So I'm using these disposable piping bags. I love using these bags. They come in handy. It saves a lot of time. It also makes sure that when you're putting your frosting on your cake, that you're putting a nice even layer of frosting all around your cake. There's various ways to frost your cake. This way for me is a lot easier just by loading my piping bag with my frosting of choice and going ahead and placing my piping bag against my cake like you see here and using my turntable to my advantage by holding that frosting bag in place and just turning that turntable, getting that icing on that cake just like so. Once I get all of my frosting covered onto my cake like so, I'm going to go ahead and take my spatula of choice. I love using this offset spatula. This is Old Faithful. I've been using this spatula since I've been decorating cakes. Old Faithful is what I call her. Old Faithful, honey. Yes. So this spatula is so easy and effortlessly when I'm decorating my cakes to use. It really helps me manage my spatula and control my spatula. There's various different sizes and shapes and types of spatulas, but for me, the offset spatula is what really works. It helps me to get that nice smooth look to my cakes without being a hassle when decorating or without it being too hard for me to control. I can easily control this spatula. It fits perfectly in my hand. The size is what really helps me manage my cake, manage decorating my cake so easily. So I highly recommend an offset spatula. This is a 6-inch offset spatula, and I will definitely leave an affiliate link for this spatula in the description box so you can have your own Old Faithful as well. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to smooth my icing out once I'm done placing the icing on my cakes with my frosting bag. I'm using my spatula. I'm pressing into the cake a little, just a little pressure and a little lightness. Now let me explain that. So I'm pressing into the cake slightly, but I'm not pressing into the cake too intensely. I'm pressing into the cake with my spatula and pushing my icing over to the right in order to make sure that I'm filling any holes, any gaps, making sure that this icing is sticking to the actual cake itself. If you skip this process, you could possibly risk having air bubbles in your cake, and you don't want air bubbles in your cake because those air bubbles may start small and then they'll get a lot bigger over time, and an air bubble in your cake is not good. So let me explain what an air bubble inside of your cake would be. So for instance, as I'm pressing this icing up against this cake, it could be possible that if I don't do this method, some of the icing may not actually stick to the cake underneath. So that would cause air within that area. And that small pocket of air, as the cake sits out and it thaws a little bit, because of course it's cold, it's going to separate from that icing, causing an air bubble, which is causing an air pocket, and it's going to continue to spread underneath your cake. And you'll be able to see that very prominently if you don't make sure that your icing is very close and pressed into your cake. Okay, hope you guys can understand that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Leave your questions in the message box and I will definitely get to them as soon as I can. So once I'm done pressing in that icing pressing that icing into my cake and smoothing it out. I'm going to go ahead and take my cake scraper, our bread scraper, and I'm going to press it up against my cake. I'm not going to stick it into the cake. I'm just going to hold it right up against my cake, and I'm going to use the turntable to my advantage like you see here. So I'm holding the spatula up against my cake like so, and I'm going around my cake using the turntable once again to my advantage. I can't stress this enough, because if you have a turntable, this is definitely something that you would definitely need for decorating cakes, because it makes a huge difference with decorating cakes. Okay, this is one cake essential that you would definitely need. Okay, so enough about stressing about the turntable. So as you can see, I'm using the turntable once again to my advantage. I'm holding my cake scraper, our bread scraper, up against the cake in an angle like you see here, and I'm turning my turntable. And this is going to make sure that I'm smoothing those edges out even more after spreading the icing out from the frosting. So now that I have my edges to where I want them, I'm going to go ahead and take the top of the cake, and I'm going to bring in those edges that I created when I was going around my cake on the sides with the spatula. So I'm not pressing down into the cake. I'm just ever so lightly tapping the top, touching the top of the frosting, and I'm pulling it in like so. And I want to make sure that when I'm pulling it in, I'm keeping my spatula at a good straight angle, and I'm just dragging it on the to the center of the cake. I'm so sorry. I'm dragging it to the center of the cake. I'm going to do this all the way around my cake to make sure that all of the edges are pulled in and you can't really see the icing where it's still sticking up. Now, granted, I will say that you do want it to be nice and crisp, but actually it's okay if it's not perfect, because remember, guys, you will be creating a masterpiece, a cake of art. So you're gonna add things to this cake. A lot of people would add a border. Some people would add flowers. The possibilities are endless. But just in case you have a cake that you really don't need to add anything to, and you just want it to be naked like so, I'm going to show you how to clean up these edges even more than this. So what I do is I take my spatula, and the reason why I use this particular spatula is because it retains heat. I will definitely leave an affiliate link for this spatula in the description box, but I have a cup of warm water with this spatula that retains heat, which is why I like to use this spatula. And I dip my spatula into this warm water. I shake off the excess as much as I can, and remember, this water is either warm or close to hot, which is fine. And I go back around my cake to make sure that those little edges that I have, where you see the imperfections, are cleared up, are even and smooth. That is why I like to use this spatula. You could possibly get this cake with the plastic, with the plastic spatula, but it's better for me to use this metal one because, like I said, it retains the heat. Okay, so I'm going back around my cake with this warm spatula. It may have a little bit of water still on it, but that's okay. Just shake off the excess. I'm going to go back around my cake with the spatula, and I'm going to fix any imperfections that I see. And once I fix all of those imperfections, I'm then going to go to the very top of my cake, and any of the icing that's sticking up a little bit from me going back around my cake, I'm going to do that same process once again by pulling that icing from the edges and pulling it into the center. So you want to make sure that when you're going around your cake with this spatula, you're not pressing too hard into the cake, because you don't want to take off any more of that frosting that you already have on. This process, I'm sorry. I'm excited, so I'm tongue tied. I'm sorry, but this process is only just making sure that those imperfections that you have are perfected. Of course, in my opinion, there's no perfect cake, but as long as we take our time and we do our due diligence to our customer, which is putting out the best product you possibly can, you absolutely cannot go wrong. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There is no perfect cake. Even for me, I have a lot of my cakes where I see like these little things, these this and this, that, and this here, and my customer doesn't see because they don't have the eyes that I have when I'm decorating my cakes. They love the cakes, but always my cakes, I want them to be perfect, of course, but they're not always perfect. But at the same time, they look gorgeous. I hope that makes sense to you. So like I said, I'm going to finish the top of the cake with the frosting. I'm going to pull it in to make sure that the icing is still not sticking up. Because once again, if you want this cake to just be a white cake and you want it to be no decorations, just a plain white like this is a process that you don't want to miss. This is a step that you don't want to miss. So I'm going to continue to go around my cake just to make sure that all those little imperfections are perfected. And guys, once again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this process. Let me know if you do a process different from mine that you think is really good that you would like to share. Maybe I'll try that process as well. Like I said, this works for me and I hope this will work for you too. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you did enjoy the video. And if you did learn something, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you are watching and you feel like cake decorating just is not your ministry, let me do it for you. I live in the Houston area. I also deliver. And I also would like you guys to check out this next video that's going to help you along your pastry journey. Thank you so much for watching and I will catch you next time. Bye.